So this might be the most brutally honest challenge update video that I've done so far in the 90 days. It's been 4 weeks and I'm back to square one basically. I started off pretty disciplined, and that's the whole point of this challenge, is to get more disciplined and get more disciplined in all aspects of life, not just trading, but also, like I said, working out and eating clean and everything. But I think that's just life. You can't expect to change everything and be successful at it and change everything at once. I know I said that, changing small things and, step after step would be, but so far changing everything at once hasn't worked either. So I think we as humans, we're a force of habit, we're creatures of habit, and the way that we've been doing things is the way that we keep on doing things, unless something traumatic happens or, we get completely uprooted and then start a new life somewhere else. But that's not gonna happen. So I think I'll have to always keep improving, and getting better and better in all aspects. And then looking back after, a couple of months, then it seems that you've changed your whole life. But while in the process, things may, or the changes that you've made may feel so insignificant and so small that you don't even recognize them, and that you don't even recognize that you've changed a lot. And yeah, here's my most honest video about how I've been doing so far in this challenge. I've actually learned quite a few things last week. I failed so bad that I had to get back to the drawing board and reevaluate everything. And here's the 5 things that I've learned. The first thing is definitely don't focus on your P&L. I mean, in prop firm challenges, we have this profit goal, and we break it down into days, and saying if I make 300 a day, I can be done in 10 days if I'm always profitable. But you won't ever always be profitable. You'll have winning days and losing days, and what matters is that your winning days are bigger than your losing days, and that you're overall profitable. And I think it was back in week 3 when I came this close to being funded, and because I was so focused on P&L and so focused on doing this trade right, and not getting out, that's how I messed up back then. That's something that going forward into month 2 of the challenge, I'll definitely need to improve, is don't focus on your P&L. Maybe I'll even minimize the account window so that I don't see the open P&L and just let the trades run. But yeah, maybe that's something that I'll do. I don't know yet. Yeah, the second thing is don't overtrade. There's been many times where I would start off the day pretty good, or doesn't even matter, you could start off the day in red, but when you take another trade and then another trade and then another trade, and then before you even realize it, you're in your daily loss limit, you blew $1,000, and that sets you back a week maybe, depending on how much you're risking and how much you want to make per day. But don't overtrade is definitely one of the most important things that you can do as a trader. There's all those people who are it's one and done, and depending on if the first trade works out in your favor or not, you're either done for the day or you're done for the day, The way that I want to combat this is by having multiple accounts and only trading each account with 1 trade per day. That way, if the first, if the first trade is a loser, I could switch to the second account and then trade my first trade of the day on that account. And I think having multiple accounts kind of combats this overtrading. Because the overtrading for me personally, it's just when the first trade doesn't work out and then you're in the red, you kind of think, or at least I think that's a shit day, which it isn't. There's losing days and winning days, but I have this feeling of, but I know the market, and I do have a good feeling about where this is headed, and maybe the next trade would be better, and then I trade, and then I take another trade and another trade and another trade, and either you don't have a good insight into the market and you blow your account, or you do have good insight and you get back to break even, which is also then you're this hasn't accomplished anything today. And this isn't worth anything. I'm not worth anything. And that's how you get into this, habit of overtrading. That's the second aspect. The third aspect would be to stick to your setups. I've seen it, it's just because, that's one of the biggest advantages, actually. I started this channel just to keep myself accountable, just to record my trades. I kind of see this whole challenge and this whole channel as, a digital journal of my journey. And I don't like journaling trades, but just hitting record at the start of my trading session and then stop recording after. That's not something that I'll actively have to do, And that's why, I think keeping a journal is so important. And, in keeping the journal for the past 4 weeks, I've noticed that whenever I lose a trade, it's either because, I FOMO'd into, or I didn't stick to my setups. I didn't wait for price to retrace to my level. Whenever I did a good trade is when I was patient, when I waited for, price to come to me and not, follow price. And when I stuck to my strategy and my setups. So that's also something that I'll need to work on in the next month. The fourth thing is that no trade is also a good trade. I always used to think, or I still think that, when I'm sitting in front of the computer and, I take 2 trades and I'm at break even for the day, I think that that's not worth anything. But, not losing money is worth everything, because, you're not in here to make money. You're essentially, in the beginning at least, or at least I'm here to not lose money. And I've been losing money this past month. I don't know how much money I spend on challenges, but I think it's a lot. And I'll definitely need to scale that down as well as my contracts. I'll definitely also need to scale those down, which leads directly into the next point, which is I do have time, It's not like I need to get funded in the next couple of weeks. I gave myself to the end of the year to at least get 1 account funded, and then from then on I'll take it one day at a time. But I always want to rush things, I want to rush things. I'm not waiting for setups, and it all ties into each other, because I want to get funded ASAP. I don't wait for my setups. I overtrade because, when I started the day off red, I think that I need to have something to make up. And yeah, that's all those aspects that, in turn perpetuate this state of FOMO and this state of not sticking to your strategy and not, waiting for the trades to unfold themselves, and eventually not, that all of that leads to not being profitable. And that's what I want to learn is to stick to my plan. And my plan will be, size down, wait for your setups, don't focus on P&L, don't overtrade. All of those aspects, they always, all of them, they link together, and they make you not be profitable, because trading should be boring, And right now I'm getting very anxious because I'm over leveraged, because I see, the value of my account fluctuate that much. And that's why I do rash decisions. That's why I overtrade, trying to make it back, go up in leverage because, I want to make it back quicker. That's why I'm focused on P&L. And whenever I lose a day, it's a bad day. And whenever, I win big, I'm ecstatic. Yeah, and that's everything that I've learned so far in the first 4 weeks. Plan going forward now is to start fresh. I will stick to my strategy, which is again gonna be either crossovers or hitting the EMAs, and I'll focus more on price action. I will size down. I'll only trade 5 contracts, so that I'll risk 200 per trade. I'll open 3 accounts. Why 3? Because when I lose on the first account, I switch to the second, and then on the second, if I lose that one, maybe I won't even trade the third, but that way I can still scratch the itch of trying to trade even after a loss, but I'll still adhere to 1 trade per account per day. Yeah, and I'll just take my time. I'll take my time because I do have time. I do have till the end of the year to get funded. Even if I have to prolong the account or extend the challenge duration, that doesn't even matter to me. And why 3 accounts and why in October? Because my prop firm, currently they're offering, when you start accounts in October, it doesn't matter when you pass them. You could, extend the challenge and then pass them in December. But still, for all the accounts that have been started in October, they're waiving the activation fee. And that's why I'll definitely get some new accounts. But those will be like those 3 accounts will be the last accounts that I get for October and November. I've blown so many accounts on the challenge already that I don't want to, risk any more money at this point. And that's why I'll also, have to size down and take only 1 trade per account, because I want those accounts to last and I want the challenge to last, and I want to be, successful in the challenge and show you guys how you can, accomplish this too. And there's not that many people watching these videos, but, for those of you who are watching, I want to show like a path to get challenges funded and to pass challenges, and I'm kind of figuring out myself along the way. It's not like I know how to pass the challenges like every time, as you can see, and that's why I just want to say we're in this together. I'm a small YouTuber and small-time trader, just trying to get funded, and I hope you enjoy the journey. And yeah, let's do it together, guys. Until then, I'll keep you guys updated next week when I've made the new accounts. And also, if you like the videos, please feel free to subscribe, like the videos, comment. I also answer all the comments because I get so few. So just ask if you have any questions, and yeah, I'll see you guys in the next one.